that I think has a deeper meaning. Prepare yourselves, gang. In 20 minutes, I shall be getting on my soapbox. And if you are a college football casual, I shall be taking aim at you. And statistics have taken off. That's why Moneyball is such a fascinating movie, other than that Brad Pitt is gall-darn handsome. But it's why Moneyball is a fascinating movie. It was a fascinating book. It was a fascinating time to go like, are we doing this all wrong? Because our feelings and our biased eyeballs feels like things are this way, and then the numbers come out and go, no, the numbers are actually this. And throws you for a little bit of a loop. There's that book, Freakonomics, where you go like, no, it's this. And Freakonomics, and you're like, actually, it's this. You look at, it's the statistics, and there's other ways to look at it. And we got some numbers. Real hardcore numbers with regard to college football, NIL, and potentially an eye-opening, not discovery, but maybe an eye-opening moment. So we'll talk about that coming up in 20 minutes. Also, the Blazers are back in action. What did you say, Brenden? Fifth hardest schedule down the stretch. Do they even have to tank? Do they even have to tank this year? I mean, with the schedule they've had, can you pull up, and I don't know if this stat even exists. Probably should have asked you before the show, but we were talking about other stuff. Do you know, like, what has their schedule been up until this point? Do we know, like, the difficulty level of the schedule the Blazers have already played up until this point of the season? Because the rest of the way out, when you look at win-loss records of opponents coming up, they got the fifth hardest schedule on the way. The All-Star break is over. Playoffs are out of the picture. Playoffs have been out of the picture for a long, long time. But this
strength of schedule so far, Justin, we are looking at ninth toughest.
All right, so top 10, but it's only 30-some teams, so they're in the top third. But in the ninth toughest schedule,
for what it's worth,
seemingly trying to win, they got 15 wins. I shouldn't say everybody. It's an algorithm thing. A lot of people are like, are they going to tank? Are they going to tank? Are they going to tank? I don't think they have to. I don't think they need to tank. Now, what's going to be interesting is what's going to happen with the teams around them. What are other teams going to do down the stretch? Are the Spurs going to shut down Wemby? Are teams like, the Wizards are awful. Did you see Jordan Poole? What happened to Jordan Poole?
Draymond broke him.
Did Draymond just knock the basketball right out of him?
I mean, he probably has that kind of ability. Like, you remember, this is going to sound really cliche, Justin, because I know you're not a fan of the reference. Justin, we can't confirm that Draymond Green is not one of the little aliens from the original Space Jam and didn't just...
Oh, the Monstars?
Yeah, just...
That we were talking about?
Just suck out...
the Monstars?
He probably just sucked out Jordan Poole's talent. So,
but in all seriousness, I saw two things on the internet and on TV last night. First thing I saw, Steph Curry still got it. I was watching that game last night, and I'm like, well, Steph still got it. And here's why I've always liked Steph Curry and really respect Steph Curry. Talk about a guy that knows and understands what is going on. He knew why LeBron James wasn't playing last night, and he knew that, hey, this is a TNT game. Clay has been playing awful. Lakers are here. LeBron's taking the night off. We're on TNT. Watch me put on a show. And I hope some of the other players in the NBA watch Steph Curry, considering, like, watch me put on a show. And he did. Put on a show last night, and it was fun to watch. Then, on the flip side, I saw, and again, it's an unfair clip of one low light, not a highlight, but a low light. And you see Jordan Poole essentially bounce pass it to the other guy, trying to inbound the ball. Did you see the Jordan Poole inbound? Like, he has clearly given up clearly given up. He's kind of it's just like
It is also a horrible season for them. So
terrible. But here's my ultimate point on that. I get so annoyed. Roll my eyes. Can you hear me roll them? Brrr. Just added that. When I hear about heat culture. Oh, heat. They put it on their uniforms. Nike made them heat culture uniform. They put it on the court. Core tenets of the heat culture. All that stuff. I hate all that. But you want to know why I hate it? Because it's not all wrong. Culture matters. So we can sit here and kind of make jokes, and they are funny. They're like, yeah, did Draymond knock the basketball sense out of Jordan Poole? Or did Jordan Poole thrive? Don't know why I rolled my R right there. Did Jordan Poole thrive in a culture in Golden State that's got 4 championships and another trip to the NBA Finals? And who knows how this season is ultimately going to end, but there was a point when it looked like the Warriors were kind of cooked, and they ain't cooked anymore. Are they going to make the Western Conference Finals? Probably not, but they're competing, and they're not going down without a fight, and that doesn't help the Blazers, who have that first-round draft pick of theirs. But
nice thing is, at this point, because there's what, 20? Let's see. Actually, I can look exactly how many games there's
I
left.
think there's 22.
Yeah, so when you look at, so like everyone's got about a few more than that, like 26 is what everyone roughly has left. Golden State, they may make a move, Justin, but what's their ceiling? Could they really climb above like probably 7 or 8? Maybe I need to look at the standings, but like they've kind of dug themselves a hole, so that pick should still be decent.
We'll see, but I'm just saying in terms of, you go back to where they were 3 weeks ago, it looked like they were cooked. And the reason why they're not cooked is because they're the Warriors. They have a culture there. They have an expectation there. They still have Steph Curry, and they still have Steve Kerr. And that's my point. How does Jordan Poole play as well as he did 2 years ago in those NBA Finals? Was it 2 years ago? In those NBA Finals. Like, how?
Basically, Justin, since he made the face, it's all kind of gone downhill for him.
But it's, I think, also the culture. The culture matters. He goes off to Washington and a place where there is no basketball culture. Again, let me do my Dan Lanning. Washington Wizards, they've won anything in, Brenden, in your lifetime? No.
They had a thing with
Michael Jordan played 2 years. That was fun. That's probably the best.
I know
the most significant Washington Wizards since they became the Washington Wizards. The most significant thing they have done is Michael Jordan played 2 years for him.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember when they used to be called a different name that we don't talk about, and then I also remember a very famous locker room incident that's kind of apropos for that, too.
Yeah. No, they were the Wizards then, though.
Oh, okay.
But the incident involved bullets.
Yeah, so that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, no, there's
Tough
no
to get. I understand why you would maybe get those things.
There's no culture. There isn't.
But there's nothing. There's no culture there. No. And it's like, oh, how does Jordan Poole go from knocking down significant shots in massive postseason games to being maybe the most overpaid guy in the league? Like,
did you hear
maybe the most overpaid guy in the league? And how you do? It's because of culture. And the culture comes from ownership down. See what I'm talking about here? Lincoln, nodding, taking a look. It comes from the top down. Who is in charge? All that stuff. Like, the Warriors, clearly, they've got an ownership group that cares about winning, invests in winning, built a new arena, put up 4 banners, taking care of Steve Kerr, all those. Heat, same thing. You look at, like, the fact that the Heat keep making runs. Like, because the working environment, something's going right there. And sure, are there other places where, like the Lakers, where you could just, the culture might not be all that great, but you get all the talent. Sorry, there's rich kids in the world, right? But if you're a Blazer fan and you're going like, boy, what is it? Is it coach? Is it the draft? Is it the GM? What's the culture of this organization? What's the culture of the franchise? I'm not saying it's terrible. Not saying it's awful. I know people that work for the Blazers. It's not like they're going like, get me out of here. No, but are they the seven dwarves whistling while they work? Oh, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure the people in Golden State who are working for the Warriors, I'm sure they probably are big fans of going to work. That's all I'm saying. Culture matters.
Yeah, and I think an extension of that, and this is, it's unfortunate that this happened, but it's reality. I think it's been slowly whittling away since Paul Allen passed away.
100%.
And again,
and then we talked about it. We talked about it 2 days ago, Brenden. There's a cloud hanging over because how can you make any advancements? You're going to sell the team. We know this. Like, we could sit here and keep pretending like you're not going to. You're going to sell the team. Can you improve Moda Center? No. Can you work to invest in the surrounding areas of the Rose Quarter? No. You have to sell the team. You can't do those improvements that Golden State has done. Heck, that Milwaukee has done. Because at some point, you got to give it up. You know what I mean? So, those are the two things I saw. I saw Steph Curry still got it, still doing the shimmy. It's amazing, like, if LeBron James did that little shimmy that Steph did, I would hate it so much. But Steph does it, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. I give him such a pass. I give Steph Curry such a pass. And then I saw Jordan Poole, who's completely given up on the season and is maybe one of the most overpaid players, who was a significant, looked like one of the young up. Poole, is he? That's water splash, bro. No. Culture matters. All right. You know what else matters? The culture of this working environment. And on this working environment in this particular show, and you know what? We like to spread the love to all of you for listening, especially you bright and early, even though it's not even bright outside. It's still pretty gold darn dark. But regardless, we celebrate the end of the week, and we look forward to the weekend ahead with a special drink in our right or maybe even our left hand. Who knows? Some of you might even want a double fist. I don't care. I'm not going to judge, but make sure it's a fun one today, because it's time to celebrate all the hard work that you have done all week long and get ready to attack the weekend with a little fancy coffee Friday. Here we go. That's right. It is Fancy Coffee Friday. Just the sound of the Iggy Azalea song just makes me so happy, gets me pumped up for the weekend. Brenden, I know when you see your fancy coffee coming each and every Friday, you start dreaming of like what could potentially be. Now, I don't know what you do on the weekends, but you do you. I'm going to do me. And hopefully everybody out there has got big plans, fun stuff, and congratulations to the hardest working audience. Whether you are out there wheeling and dealing on the phones and the emails, maybe you're on that Slack channel. We had Slack at my old place. Never knew how to work it. Whether you're on Teams, whether you're on Zoom calls, but you know what? You're crushing it. Or whether you are putting on a hard hat and a bright orange vest and you're going to go swing a hammer for the next couple of hours. You know what? Cheers to all of you. Whether you are driving around delivering packages so us lazy folk don't have to go to an actual real store and try on pants, we salute all of you. To the hardest working audience in all of radio. Do I have numbers to quantify it? No. My gut tells me it's true. And we appreciate you spending just a smidge of your day, or whether you spend all 3 hours with us. Cheers to you. Cheers to Brenden. Happy Fancy Coffee Friday. Oh, man, that's good. It's good stuff. All right. Every college football player in the NCAA Division I FBS is going to be getting a check soon from EA Sports. How much is the check and how significant is that number? We'll talk about that next. 620 Rip City Radio. Have we been talking about this video game too much? I don't know. It seems like it's been on the mind. I don't know if it's an algorithm thing. I don't know if it's Brendan's got his excitement palpable in the other room. But a lot of things talking about the EA Sports college football game. It's now, we found out yesterday, Notre Dame, they're in the game. There was a worry that Notre Dame might not be in the game. Well, they're in. So whatever,
and Justin, the excitement,
whatever the deal they got.
Yeah.
They got.
The excitement in my own household is palpable, Justin. So it's one of those things where my brother and I were talking yesterday, like the soonest we can pre-order it, it's happening, man. So yeah, it's excitement, good times, and I mean it's going to bring us together, Justin, a college football people.
Well, I hope so. I truly do.
Those who play video games, of course.
And I saw Chris Fowler was like, yeah, I'm in the game as well. So Chris Fowler's going to be in the game. I also saw smart move by EA Sports. Like, no coaches are going to be in the game. No actual coaches. Because coaching carousel's too fast and it's too furious. But actual players are going to be in the game. Now, we remember why the game went away. Let's do a real quick, real smidge of a history lesson. Because it involves somebody out here on the West Coast. I remember the 1995 UCLA Bruin National Championship basketball team. It was a wagon. You had Ed O'Bannon.
Who's their coach?
That was Jim Herrick. Jim Herrick was their coach.
Yeah, I can't say I'm super familiar.
He was fired a couple of years later for some accusations, some potential recruiting violations, which is funny in this whole story because it all involves money and NIL. But Ed O'Bannon was the best player in America. UCLA, it was their resurgence. It was the first year UCLA was back after the John Wooden years.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there was probably other years where they were good, but it's the first one I can remember, and this is all about me. So UCLA, 95, they're back. And Ed O'Bannon was a dude. I believe Oregon beat them that year. No big deal, but
which year specifically?
Either 95 or maybe they beat them the year after in 96. But I remember there was a very big Oregon win over UCLA with Ed O'Bannon on the team. I think it was 95. Anywho,
I'll check into that.
Anywho, that's neither here nor there in this history lesson. And Ed O'Bannon would go on to have, I think, an okay NBA career. Was never a superstar, but played in the league for a while. And then just kind of went away. And we didn't hear from Ed O'Bannon for a while. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Ed O'Bannon was sitting playing video games with his nephew. Yes, Brenden, what do you got for us?
January 5th, 1995, they go down to the Oregon Ducks
at
MacArthur Court. Almost said Matthew Knight.
No, that was at MacArthur Court.
82-72.
That was such a I listened to that game on the radio. That's how much.
And that was the team that went on to win the national championship in the Kingdom later that year. Kind of cool. The Kingdom. How
Kingdom
about that?
doesn't even exist. It's amazing they had a Final Four at the Kingdom.
That was a cool
Good
distraction.
thing the acoustic tile didn't fall down and hurt somebody. That happened at the Kingdom. Different story. But Ed O'Bannon was playing video games with his nephew, and his nephew was like, watch, Uncle Ed, I'll play you. And he's like, what? Excuse me? And it's like, yeah. All-time great teams.
Thanks, nephew.
And Ed O'Bannon was like, wait, I understand when I was in college, but like this is a new video game. Because obviously in 1995 there was no PlayStation.
Sega was around?
Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo was the top of the heap at that particular time. But this was, I think, a PlayStation, and it was NCAA basketball. And Ed O'Bannon was like, what? Why am I not? How am I on there? And why am I not getting paid? And then he went back and found out that, well, when you sign up for your letter of intent and your scholarship, you sign away your, as a new term we've learned all about, your name, image, and likeness. And Ed O'Bannon, with the help of Sonny Vaccaro, believe it or not, whom Matt Damon played in the Air movie, but with the help of Sonny Vaccaro, went to court and suing the NCAA, essentially saying like, okay, amateur whatever, I'm out. And you still own the rights to my college digital self on this video game? Went all the way to the Supreme Court. Ed O'Bannon won his case. And all the video game nerds, like Brenden over there, were like, Ed O'Bannon won. We did it. Game's coming back. And it opened up a whole another can of worms, which is this now new NIL world.
But see, at the time, it was actually like, at the time, yes, because we knew once the court, because I don't think the court case was settled by the time they stopped making the game, if I remember correctly.
Yes, the game was stopped earlier.
Obviously a decade ago. And then I just remember, obviously, like you said, knowing that it was going to have a chance to come back. But Justin, the vitriol, and I say vitriol because I sure remember having, again, kind of before the days of social media, so it's like the vitriol within the Sherwood high school lunch room.
Of course, which
right?
is, I mean, they call that the heartbeat of America.
It's true. Like, it's like, wait, some dude from UCLA took away our video game?
Yeah.
And that's how a 14-year-old, 15-year-old comprehend. It was vitriol. It was, wait, we're losing our game. We're losing the college basketball game, too. The college baseball game.
Everything's going away.
So, yeah.
And it was because Ed O'Bannon sat down to play video games with his nephew. But it was also because the NCAA, whom I have defended on here, overreached a little bit. Could have easily made a deal going like, all right, guys, we're going to make a deal that after you leave, clearly you should be able to profit off your name, your image, and your likeness. You are now gone. You can't do it while you're at school. But no, they were like, nope, you signed a deal. It says in perpetuity. Boy, you learn real fast in perpetuity. That is forever. So anyways, that's the history lesson. That's why the game went away. Obviously, name, image, likeness is commonplace now. Players are able to profit off of their name, image, likeness, and even though collectives are loopholing their way into simply paying for play, this EA Sports game is actually a true version of name, image, likeness. The video game has Dylan Gabriel, who will be the quarterback for the Oregon Ducks in the game. And it will look like Dylan Gabriel, and I believe, are they going to use their names? Because they're opting in. So now they're actually going to use their names as opposed to...
If you opt in.
Yes. Which we're going to get to in a moment. As opposed to like back in like 2003 where it was like Oregon quarterback number 3. I wonder who that is.
QB number 8 during 2012 for Oregon? He's really fast?
And he looks Polynesian.
He sure does.
Like, I wonder who that is.
And I had to give him credit,
that
Justin.
USC safety had long hair.
Because
I wonder who that number 43 is. Like,
true.
I wonder who that guy is.
But I even had to give him credit back then, Justin, because for what it's worth, like, they even had the third stringers pretty well pegged. Like, you had, I'm trying to think of who's a good example, but like third string running back, and you still, the hometown's right. It looks kind of like, it was.
It was a total ripoff.
Yes.
Back then. It
I
was.
see what they got at.
So now that it's all been sort of resolved, here we go. And a lot of people were like, see, these players, they're getting screwed out of thousands of dollars, right? It wasn't potentially millions of dollars. All right. Brenden, what were so right now, players have to opt in. If they opt in, they receive payment for their name, image, likeness. If they opt out, they are scrubbed from the game. Let's get to the numbers. Like I said, facts and feelings, right? The feelings were, these guys are getting exploited left and right, costing them so much money in NIL. Brenden, how much is the NIL payment for any college football player, regardless of whether that is Arch Manning or it is the backup punter for Oregon State? What is the number?
600 big ones.
$600.
No, not 6,000, not 600,000. 600. About a month of rent.
And?
Actually, less than a month of rent.
I don't know where you're living.
Hey, maybe in those college towns it's doable,
Even
Justin.
still. And copy of the game.
Yes, of course, right? Got to get a copy of the game, baby.
And I saw that, and I was like, this kind of proves the point that I've been saying for a long, long time, which is the value of NCAA football players is more on the logo on their helmet and the colors of their jerseys than the actual players themselves. Sure, Caleb Williams, incredibly valuable. That was one guy. I would even say, regardless of, because he's a Nepo baby, Shedeur Sanders, pretty famous. Arch Manning, again, because of the name, of who his uncles are, pretty famous. Jalen Milroe, probably there's maybe five guys who are legitimately famous. And even of those five guys, if you were walking around, say, Portland Airport, I would say the mall, but malls don't exist anymore. So I'm trying to think, like, the airport's like the last place where you might see someone. You know what I mean? We don't go to stores. Like, we don't go to the mall anymore. Listen, you might be walking around PDX. Other than what? Caleb Williams, Shedeur, like, who in college football would you recognize? Unless you are
Quinn Ewers.
Boom, mullet. Well, you cut the mullet, but
yeah.
Even still, if Quinn Ewers walked by out of a Hook'em Horns helmet, would you even notice him? I'd be like, I don't know. That guy might be Quinn Ewers.
Oh, and it's funny, Justin.
But that's my point is these guys are famous, because of the logo. It's that Longhorn logo. It's that Oregon O. It's the Bendy the Beaver, which I think they should go back to being, not that you should ever take this Oregon fan's word for it, but that old school Bendy the Beaver logo should be the actual logo.
Yeah.
I don't like the mean beaver one.
The newest one? Well, it is the fine folks at Nike over there who did design it.
They don't always hit home runs. Baseball's been having a bit of a problem. I don't know if you saw that on the internet, the new baseball uniforms. But regardless, getting back to my point.
Real quick.
Yes.
Wanted to throw this out there because we were talking about cover athletes yesterday, Justin. And you and I'm going to give you an opportunity because you and I whiffed on who the cover athletes, plural, are going to be for this edition of the game. Again, got to give the producer credit to my brother because we're sitting there talking. He's like, you're missing a couple big ones. And I was like, am I real?
Shedeur and Shiloh?
Or Travis Hunter and Shedeur.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I could see a couple Colorado guys being on the cup. With like Dion, too, and his big cowboy hat.
I like the fact that kind of Colorado's been a little bit quiet as of late. It's been a much more pleasant offseason without Coach Prime stuff. And say what you will about me, I don't care. It feels a little bit better. 4-8, a little quiet there in Boulder, Little bit more quiet. Like the videos have really calmed down since 4-8. Anyways, I can't get distracted. But this goes to my point. I saw some people on the internet yesterday going like, $600? What a joke. Is this what Ed O'Bannon thought? Truly. Like, is this what we went to court all those years to get $600 in the pocket? Like that? These guys have a full ride scholarship with actual money that you get for day-to-day costs that are way more than $600. That's what this whole fight was over because that's the value. You might be saying, well, if Caleb Williams, he would have opted out. Would he have? All right, go ahead. Opt out. What does that prove? There is no player in the NCAA who is big enough to opt out and people would say, this game is terrible because so-and-so's not in it. No. That player doesn't exist. He does not exist in college. You could have had Notre Dame was saying, we don't know. You could eliminate Notre Dame from the video game. Guess what? People are still going to play it.
Oh, yeah.
People are still going to play it because that's my point. And it's always been my point. You went to court all these years. What's your value? $600. And by the way, you want to know why the number is 600? I believe that is the minimum for a 1099 contracted.
It is.
That's the minimum payment.
It is. I know that quite well, being an independent contractor.
You have an independent contract with your other business, right? That's why it's $600. If it was $300 was the minimum, guess what? They'd all get paid $300 because EA Sports is no fool. They make a lot of money off of video games, and EA Sports knows that the value is in the logos, right? Because if the Big Ten went to EA Sports and said, all right, EA Sports, we're going to need $2 million per school, or we're not allowing the Big Ten to be part of your, well, now we're talking. Now we got a problem. So now we have some leverage because that's the value. The value is the logos of Michigan, Ohio State, the colors of Oregon, of Washington. That's always been the value. All these years you thought these players were getting ripped off left and right. Well, they're in a video game that's $600. Cut a check.
Right.
And you could opt out. Sure. Guess what? You're not in the game. And is the game going to suffer because of it? No.
Right.
Just like college football. You sit out college football and bowl games, all that. I'm opting out. College football going to be hurt? No, it's not. College football is going to be fine.
Yeah, and doing
$600. That's what we're talking about.
Doing the math, you look at 85 players per team, and roughly, I think it's 135 teams. Mm-hmm. It's about a $7 million check.
Drop in the bucket. Drop in the bucket because you guys are all going like, take all my money, please. I will pay whatever for this game.
You go back 10 years ago, obviously there were many differences. It was technically illegal to send players money.
Yeah.
But, just imagine, Justin, you're right. 10 years ago, that even would have been a drop in the bucket. So I guess it's unfortunate that because of, I don't know if it's rules, I don't know if it's feelings, that we lost something that was so great for 10 years, and it's obviously great to have it back and don't need to look backwards, forwards, all that, but
You want to play a fun little game?
Sure.
$7 million, you said, is what it's going to cost to pay the players. Everybody gets $600 because, again, that's what you have to because of the contracting thing. You know how much EA Sports is worth?
It's $1 billion company. I know that much.
Take a guess. Just a guess.
Yeah.
Random, I don't know, didn't prep you for this.
No, yeah. I'll say EA Sports probably worth about $20 billion.
$38 billion.
Wow, more than I thought.
It's $38 billion company. $7 million to pay these so we can have our college football game back that everybody's going to buy. But by the way, if the $10.99 would have been $300, guess what? You cut that $7 million in half because everyone would have got $300. That's what your name, image, and likeness in an actual market in the actual business world as a college football player is not worth anything without your helmet with the Oregon logo or the Oregon State logo or the Washington logo. That's where your value is, and it's a tough reality. But this is proof, my opinion, of what I've been saying for all these years. These guys are getting ripped off. No, they're not. They were never getting ripped off. Maybe a handful of players, the Reggie Bushes, the Johnny Footballs, the Tim Tebows, they were all famous and might have been a bit exploited. But they all had opportunities post-college to make an awful lot of money. Whereas every other player, even great players, without the logo, nobody's paying for them to endure. And I'm not going to say a player because that'd be just mean-spirited, but just think about think of all conference, all Pac-12 player without the logo. What's their value in endorsing a product?
Knowing what we know,
not very much, because EA Sports said every player is going to get $600, and if you don't like it, fine, opt out, hit the button, and we will scrub you from the game, and we will all move forward, and you can stand there on your principles.
Yeah, and
good luck with that.
And knowing what we know now, Justin, that number. EA's valuation seems very inflated to me, but knowing what we know now, should EA Sports be thankful that they didn't go belly up from this lawsuit? 10, and it could have been worse. All considering you're still standing. You still made Madden. You came back around to make this now.
I don't think, I doubt it. I think they were like, we're fine. That's why they stopped making, we'll just stop making the game. And we'll just make all the other games that everybody, but that's kind of my whole point. Look, the video game was always used as they're all being exploited. Okay, it's $600, they're out. That's it. That's all. They are out. Because that's your worth. In terms of your actual name, image, likeness. Now, in terms of your worth as a collective to get a high school senior who's a 5-star now that's a different worth altogether, which is why we've got the Wild Wild West. But in terms of the business, EA Sports doesn't care. Is there a player in the NCAA that if they were to say, who actually would have bargaining power? And that answer is no. No. We've been talking about Quinn Ewers this whole time, or even, let's say Shedeur Sanders goes, no, I want $40K to get in this game. And EA Sports would be like, all right, you shall opt out, Shedeur, and we will have new quarterback at Colorado that will not look like you, and the game will be just fine. All right. We're going to talk some hoops. Boy, Steph Curry still got it. Still got it. Watched Steph Curry last night. Stretch run of the NBA. Also, maybe we'll make a little adjustment. Did you see the Cougs last night? Take down the Arizona Wildcats. And
got a good basketball program up there. Jim Moore said it last week on the show.
Did your boys get a road win last night?
Oh, they were leading, but they
They
lost.
double-digit lead. What happened?
Yeah, they lost.
I went to bed.
It's typical for
All
Wayne.
right. Anyways, Round Ball Rock next. 620 Rip City Radio. I don't know how difficult it would be to learn this song on the piano. Like I don't know. Like I've seen like kids do it at like talent shows and stuff. But like if I were like, and maybe it's again this is an age thing. Probably doesn't hit home with the kids today. But man, if you had to take piano lessons, like if your parents like forced you to take piano lessons, like yeah, you can play football and basketball, but you also have to do the piano thing. Like boy, I'd learn that one so fast. Unfortunately, I can't play an instrument. Can you play an instrument? Have you ever tried? Have you ever attempted to play an instrument? I attempted once. I was like, I'm gonna teach myself how to play guitar. Miserable failure. I don't have the rhythm and there is a fluidity to people who are musical that I just don't have. I'm rigid. I move straight, north, south, east, west. There's no fluidity. Did you ever attempt to try to learn?
Nah.
Never even had like just one time like sitting in college going like, you know what, boy, if I could learn how to play Oasis on the guitar.
I was too busy learning how to do play-by-play in college with my free time. Like even in middle, like they forced me to play the recorder. That was about it.
Oh, hot cross buns.
That was horrible. Thanks.
Well, that's just, I think, teacher revenge on parents. I firmly believe. Like, hey,
you want to
in second grade, every one of these little bundles of energy, we're going to give them a noise machine and send it home. And they got to practice. And they got to come back.
Stand the recorder.
Nobody liked the recorder.
It's funny that you mention this because
it is an instrument that is solely designed to irritate people. Nobody, like, who's the most famous recorder player? How do we all have to learn to play the recorder?
Great question.
At least, like, Kenny G plays the saxophone, right? You don't know about Zamfir, but he was the master of the pan flute. People my age will know that. Tell your parents. Your parents will understand who Zamfir is, the master of the pan flute. But, like, nobody, like, who's the most famous recorder player?
I mean, that should tell you something. But, like, funny you mention it, because, like, in the last month and a half, we were cleaning out stuff in our garage, and we stumbled onto my brother's recorder, and he's like, oh, my goodness. And it had all of his sheet music in the case and everything.
He didn't take it back to school. Usually we had to, like, rent them out.
Yeah, we get to keep ours for whatever reason. Mine's in a box somewhere, too, I think.
Boy, that's a Sherwood money, baby.
Blue sleeve. But he literally pulled it out.
That's that Bowman cash.
He pulled it out, and he's like, I'm going to play Hot Cross Buns for Mom. And she's like, oh, my gosh, a sound I never thought I'd have to hear again.
Every parent's, I think.
It's like PTSD, really.
100%. It's like some people, and again, I don't want to make fun of, but like there are veterans who can't hear fireworks. And I could completely understand this. Like, I can't do 4th of July, I can't do it. There are parents that hear Hot Cross Buns, and they're like, no, hit the deck. All right, let's get into Round Ball Rock. All right, newsflash, Steph Curry's real good. Still fun to watch. 32 points last night, 25 in the first half, put on a show. It's nice to see NBA players put up an effort. Speaking of an effort, Jokic, whom the Blazers play tonight, did you see Jokic's numbers last night?
I think I missed it. What do you got? What do you have last
21, 19, and 15.
I mean, you know this, Justin.
It's laughable at this point, how many rebounds he gets. Like, that's the most important thing. Like, Brenden, he doesn't have to rebound. He does not have to. He is at that level of, I know he's a big man, but he is at that level where if he pulls down 9 boards a night, like, he's good because he can score and he can distribute. He regularly pulls down 15-plus rebounds a night.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not sure where you stand on it, but that's why for me, pound for pound, I don't know if he'd be the first player I'd draft in like a pure like fantasy draft. But if I'm asking who the best player in the NBA is right now, I think it's still that guy for pound for my dollar.
All right, that's a good question.
It's him.
The next 2 months and then playoffs, you redraft the NBA. Jokic, your number 1 pick?
Yeah, if we're talking in like one season right now, and Justin, he ain't never getting hurt.
Not even one season, 3 months.
He's never getting hurt. So yeah, I'd take Jokic. Portland will have their hands full tonight.
Luka dropped 41, nearly really a triple-double. Luka dropped 41 on the Suns and
Mavericks.
I think I've got just enough time. Did you see what happened pregame with Kevin Durant? So Kevin Durant's running out for warm-ups. A couple in the third row yells out snitch, but they didn't say snitch. We keep it clean around here. We just had a meeting. And so Durant comes back and is like, say it to my face. So, and they give the, hey, we're just goofing. Hey. And like the wife was like, shake my hand. Kind of like the guy on the airplane, the shake my hand guy on the airplane. That's a gif I just will not stop watching. And if you look close enough, the guy said, tells Kevin Durant, well, I host a podcast about sports. And it's like, and Kevin Durant's like, I've heard enough. Now, they were going to kick them out of the game. Tip of the cap to Kevin Durant, because I've never had a problem with him. I like Kevin Durant a lot, fun to watch. Kevin Durant goes to security and was like, don't kick him out. Like, I proved my point. They clearly talked tough when I was running the other direction. When I stopped, they didn't. I proved my point. Let him sit there. So you know what? Way to go, Kevin Durant, a guy that gets accused of maybe being a little sensitive from time to time. Because there's other players that be like, yeah, kick him out. And then Luka dropped 41 on you. Nearly had a triple-double. One board short. All right. Coming up, we got Hot Take Friday. We got to make or miss. All sorts of stuff next. 620 Rip City Radio. It is 7 a.m. on a Friday morning. Justin Myers with you. Blazers back in action tonight. They'll be taking on the Denver Nuggets after the All-Star break. Moda Center is where it all goes down. Tip time at 7 o'clock. Pre-game coverage begins at 4:30 right here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. Relatively healthy. I haven't seen any injury reports. Look relatively healthy, though. Do you know about Brenden and his elbow? NFL news, the Seattle Seahawks have restructured Geno Smith's deal. They will have now nearly $5 million more in cap space. College basketball last night, Oregon gets a win on the road against Stanford, but the big win in the Pac-12, yes, kids, the Pac-12 still exists. Washington State goes down to Tucson, takes down the Arizona Wildcats. Cougs are for real. That might have put them off the bubble and in the tournament. All right, hour number 2 of Rip City Mornings. It starts right now on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, well, welcome back to Rip City Mornings. Happy Friday, everybody. We got Make or Miss coming up in about 20 minutes. We have got Hot Take Friday coming up in a bit as well. It is also a Fancy Coffee Friday. Cheers to all who celebrate, which should be each and every one of you. Even if you don't drink coffee, whatever. Your fancy coffee is whatever you want to make it. But we're having a fantastic morning so far. Blazers play tonight. I asked you during the update, injury report for the Blazers. Let's hear it.
Yeah, it's quite long. Hope everyone's doing good here on a Friday. Justin, stick with me here. Okay, Jabari Walker, questionable with a right ankle sprain. Okay. That is all the questionables.
Got it.
Okay, now we get
so the questionable usually means we'll give it a go.
Yeah, so I would say 50-50 probably on Jabari. Mm-hmm. But then,
other than Scoot, none of these guys have done anything for the past 7 days, right?
Yeah, accurate.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, just wanted to clear the air.
Went and played in the Futures game.
Yeah.
In Indianapolis.
Yep.
The rest of these guys were not in the All-Star festivities.
Yes.
And
so obviously,
conceivably did nothing.
Yes.
Over the really not even.
Probably went to Cabo.
8 days.
Probably went to Cabo. But no, other than Shaedon Sharpe and Robert Williams III, who we both know are out. But hey, we talked to Sean Highkin not too long ago. He said Shaedon Sharpe could maybe come back this year potentially.
Again,
so something to think about.
We're not doctors, but it was a great bit of information because he said what they were learning on the core injury is that actually one of the worst things you could do, I don't know if I say the worst thing, I'm paraphrasing, and I hope I don't screw it up, but one of the things that they are learning is it's better to get out there and get moving as opposed to rest.
Yes.
And they think that may be one of the things that happened with GP2 was he was wanting to rest too much, and they were like, you got to get out there and move, and he's like, it doesn't feel right.
Right.
It started to feel right when he got to Golden State, where he always wanted to be, which was interesting. I don't know, maybe that's a phenomenon, right, where like the latitude and longitude geography, maybe that helps with the core injury. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but it seemed to really help further south.
Oh, I know, man. It's still internal conflict, man. He's a Beaver, but man, we just choose to forget about his time as a Blazer because it was not good.
See, can you bifurcate players?
Ooh, yeah, big word.
Well, I learned that a couple of years ago.
Back when we were in the playoffs?
Yeah, but out early, and then you had to bifurcate the two, right? There was we learned that regular season success is great, and we can still celebrate that even if you get blitzed by the Golden State Warriors in the first round. You can just bifurcate the two.
I don't think there's any way to bifurcate 15 wins. So
yeah, that's tough. But
but yes,
in the spirit of bifurcation,
yes.
Can you because I can bifurcate Dylan Brooks.
Sure.
Easily.
Yeah.
That Dylan Brooks Oregon guy, very different than Dylan Brooks NBA guy.
Sure.
I just, like I said, I bifurcate it.
Yeah.
I split them up, and I'm like, after they leave Eugene, not my pig, not my farm.
Yeah.
Right? I can easily. So I'm just wondering, you guys never really had a Dylan Brooks type of guy. I'm wondering.
Yeah, it's just.
Well, I guess. How about Ocho Cinco? How was you're probably too young, but there was probably a time when there were Oregon State fans were like, all right, dude, Chad, buddy, can we just take a deep breath? Which is funny now because with what we see in sports with social media and everything, boy, what Chad Ochocinco was doing was like child's play now.
Oh yeah, it's
like now these guys are they're doing TikTok dances during warm-ups, and it's like, wow, Chad Johnson he put Ochocinco on the back of his uniform. It's like, yeah. Talk about did this before his time. Dude needed social media so bad.
I mean, there was no one, again, Justin, you probably remember because you were in the periphery, but obviously you being an Oregon fan, an Oregon State fan, when Oregon State broke that streak of 26 years and went to the tournament for the first time in 15 and 16.
Oh, with Drew Eubanks and
Gary but again, it was mostly Gary. Gary led that team to the tournament on his back. And it's like, yeah, I remember it well. It's fond memories for me. So, yeah, when he plays for my favorite team in the NBA, of course I wanted it to go well. The fact that it went about as horribly as you could imagine, it's not great. But anyway, before we get too distracted, let me finish off the injury report here.
Again, none of these guys, other than Scoot, have done anything.
Correct.
In the last 8 days.
Ryan Rupert will miss the game with a right ankle sprain. Scoot Henderson will miss the game with a left adductor strain.
Okay. But he actually did something, though. He was
fair.
There.
I don't know how he had strained his adductor on the All-Star game.
It was the Futures game.
Like I said, he's the one that needs to be playing, but neither here nor there. Moses Brown will be out with a left wrist fracture.
Yeah, he's had that for a while.
And Malcolm Brogdon will be out with right elbow tendonitis, which was only supposed to be reevaluated in 2 weeks.
I will say
beyond
this.
2 weeks.
I was made fun of appropriately, but I was made fun of.
Appropriately?
It was appropriate.
There's an appropriate time to make fun of somebody? I like this.
Yeah. To hear what I'm about to say, you'll be like, yeah, that stands. I was filling in on this particular show when I was not the host of this show. Some may be like, oh, boy, those were the days. But when I was not the host and I was filling in, one of the other former hosts of this show, we were talking about just what we were doing, the injury report. And I don't know if it was Dame. It might have even been Dame, but somebody was out with back spasms. And I was like, you know what? Can I just say, I don't know what back spasms are? Like, even still today, like, I kind of know, but, like, I don't know. I didn't know what back spasms were. But you hear it all the time of, like, oh, so-and-so is out, back spasms. And I was like, I don't even know what that. And then I was made fun of because, like, you've never heard of that. You've only been working in sports for, what, like 17 years? And then also, that was back when the Twitter army was hot on this show. Sorry, guys. I ruined that for you. And then the Twitter army came after me. They're like, it is so painful. Don't make fun of it. And I'm like, I wasn't. I'm just saying I didn't even know what they were. And now, adductor, is that the hip thing again?
Yes.
Yeah. We learned that earlier.
It's like how you take your leg, and if you were to make a leg like on a swivel, right, to spin kind of your leg out a little bit, that's your adductor muscle. Is like being able to move your hip to the left and to the right, which, again.
So Scoot's got a sore adductor. He's not playing tonight.
Yeah, so, Justin, in other words, going up against.
So when I said earlier.
The reigning NBA champs with nobody on the roster.
So I said earlier in the update, like, fairly healthy, I sounded like a big dumb doofus. That's what it sounded like. That one's on me.
We strive for accuracy.
Well, I just assumed that after the All-Star break, because, look, okay, wrist fracture for Moses Brown. Dude's not playing. Got it. Now, I have had tendonitis in the elbow. Clearly, probably not at the Malcolm Brogdon level because he is an elite athlete who is paid very handsomely, and I'm a dude that goes to a CrossFit gym every day. But I have had the elbow tendonitis, and it is a bear. So I feel you, Brogdon. But I just assumed, like, be fairly healthy for the game. But no Scoot and no Brogdon and no Moses Brown. And Jabari Walker's questionable. Got it. And they're going up against the
reigning NBA champs. Yeah.
Well, and this is something we discussed earlier. The Blazers have been doing this all year, and I'm not the first person to kind of bring this up. And again, I don't even know if it bugs me all that much. I have labeled it a soft tank all year long. They're not doing what they did last year, right? Which was Damian Lillard probably could play basketball. We're going to ask him not to. And that was, I think, part of the reason why Dame ultimately asked to be traded, because Dame could have been scoring champion last year. It was an outside shot, but Dame could have been a scoring champion last year and probably had a meeting with Cronin. Don't know who else was there. Maybe Chauncey was there. And it was like, yeah, for the good of the team, we're not going to make a run at the playoffs. This draft and the value of this pick, the higher up it gets, the better off we are at getting you some help. Your calf is strained. Let's just shut it down for the entire season. We're shutting everybody else down. And they shut down Nurk, and they shut down Ant, and they went full on. We are now actively trying to lose games, the same as the Spurs were doing last year, the same as the Mavericks were doing last year. The Mavericks, they had Luka and Kyrie, and we're like, yeah, we're going to tank. We don't want to even go to the play-in game. So that's an active tank where you have relatively healthy players, and you're like, yeah, you need to sit down. This year, are they just bitten by the injury bug? Or do they know that this was a rebuilding year, so nobody is going to be pushing through? Or do you think, in all seriousness, not to get a tinfoil hat, not to get all conspiracy theory on you, but, that training staff last year really got thrown under the bus by Shams Charania by way of GP2. They pushed me back too soon. I didn't want to play. I didn't feel comfortable. The whole Toradol thing, which turns out it wasn't a shot. It was in pill form. It's like, yeah, homie, that's Advil. It's a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, same as Advil. Probably a little bit stronger than the Advil that, do you buy Advil or do you go Kirkland Signature? I'm a Kirkland Signature ibuprofen guy.
I don't like
big bottle.
Yeah, we like the liquid gels rather than the
you go liquid gels.
I'm
Look at you.
Not a big fan of the little circle red pills unless I have to. Liquid gels work so much better, and they make.
Do you think they work better?
Yeah, and they make Kirkland liquid gels, so I'm all over it, man. Oh yeah.
We're not. I still like.
It's usually it's like $2 more, Justin, and I swear it absolutely makes a difference. One of the things
if it makes a difference to you, then who cares what anybody else thinks?
I'll put it down. I swear they work faster, man, and it makes sense. One is liquid, one is not.
I don't know how it works, but by the big I'm a Kirkland Signature. Toilet paper, paper towels, ibuprofen, coffee pods. Like, that's my Kirkland Signature.
Oh, dude, Kirkland Signature breakfast blend over here, man. I know Justin doesn't mess with that breakfast blend.
The breakfast blend's too light for me.
It's
but I don't want the dark roast. I got the.
Oh, you go medium.
It's a Summit. It's called the Summit.
Yeah. I see it because it's right next to the box of breakfast blend that I get. So yeah, go figure.
But boy, that Kirkland Signature, they got it dialed, don't they? They got it figured out.
We could almost do a segment just.
Like, what do people use every day? Toilet paper, coffee, paper towels.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it.
Good. Just in the toilet paper, paper towels, and coffee department.
Right.
Like Kirkland, they've got it.
Oh yeah, and I think we've had the discussion on things that are fine store brand, things that are way different store brand, but again, we have Kirkland dishwashing packs. We have Kirkland Kirkland pods for the washing machine.
I don't do the pods, but I got the liquid detergent.
Yeah.
I'm a Kirkland guy. Looks just like the Tide.
Yep.
Interesting how that happens.
We do have double the people in our house that you do. So 4 people versus 2. So that Kirkland laundry detergent does, it works for keeping it for, longer times. But you're right. That, I think about our cheese in our house, big bag of Kirkland cheese.
Like shredded?
Yeah, because Kirkland does
How often do you
Mexican-style cheese. They do mozzarella cheese. They do Parmesan cheese. Dude, Kirkland is other than off-brand soda, man.
Yeah, how have they not figured that one out? Tip of the cap, by the way, to Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola and everything else in between, because you could put side by side.
Oh, I would get it right every time.
The Kirkland coffee and the Star. I think my coffee palate, I could if it's Starbucks, I know, but for the most part, coffee, but like the gap between Coca-Cola and store brand cola is
It's an
the
ocean.
Grand Canyon.
It
It's
is.
like, how have they not figured it out in 2024? I don't know. But you know what? Props to the big cola. All right, coming up, we have got, so Blazers very hurt tonight. They're playing. Jokic had 18 rebounds last night in a triple-double. Maybe he takes a night off. I don't know, because he played last night. Who knows? But we have got Make or Miss coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, coming up in an hour, Dave DuFour is going to be joining the program. We'll talk some NBA. We're now, a work week away from what was the NBA All-Star Game. Is it ever going to change? Was this the moment in time where we're going to look back and be like, remember that 24 All-Star Game? Boy, that. Or is it just like something because there were no games to talk about? And now that we have actual games to talk about, we're all going to forget it. And the next year, we're going to be like, why won't these guys try hard? So we'll get some thoughts from Dave DuFour on the NBA. And who knows what else we may dive into. So that's coming up in an hour. It is a Hot Take Friday. You got a text from a listener. I would like to think loyal listener. So loyal to have your phone number. The Kirkland vodka. Now I've heard tale. And the internet is kind of split on this one because the legend was always that the Kirkland signature vodka was the same as Grey Goose. That was the legend. Google is like half and half. It says maybe, maybe not. But like, I got a little, and I think most of the time when it comes to like expensive wine, expensive bourbon, you can tell trash. You can tell bottom of the barrel. You can tell garbage. But I don't think most people can tell the difference from mediocre to elite. I don't think so. Especially vodka. Because I have friends, and I don't think they're listening, but I have friends that like, they get vodka drinks all the time, and they're like, Tito's. Like, you can't tell. Like, you can tell if it's like bottom shelf, like, apologies to the good people of Hood River, but anybody that grew up in this great state who is about my age knows of the bad night you probably had with a bottle of HRD vodka.
Not Burnett's?
HRD was our... Like,
Burnett's was ours.
Like, are you... Anybody who is between the ages of 40 and 49, I would be willing to bet has a... When I say HRD vodka, and again, I love Hood River.
Right.
Hood River's a beautiful city.
Sure.
Beautiful place.
I don't know if it's superior to Troutdale or the Dells, though, in the power rankings of the
gorge.
Of the gorge. Kind of funny to talk about.
Well, I've driven through there because my wife grew up in the Tri-Cities. And so her family, her parents lived in the Tri-Cities. They don't anymore. So thankfully, I don't have to make that drive anymore.
Thankfully.
It's not a fun drive.
Hey, man, you got to go up and see all the history up there. And
it's beautiful.
Hanford and all that.
It's great through Hood River. And then by the time you get to the Dalles, you're like, all right, there's nothing. There's a river.
It's true.
I've been driving next to this river for
a long time.
2 hours now. But anyways, I love Hood River. It's a great place. Have friends from Hood River. Multiple. Their HRD vodka was a killer back in college. That was headache water is what it was called. So you can always tell when it's or like Burnett's or anything. And listen, sometimes when you're when you're young and you're just like, hey, I only have $7 in my bank account. I know the one ATM that is that will let you withdraw $5. Shout out to Oregon Community Credit Union. I think it was on West 11th. You could get $5 out. And he was like, all right, we're going HRD tonight, boys. Yeah. And you know it's going to be a bad morning, but yeah. So that's the trash, the bottom of the barrel. I believe mediocre and then high-end elite. I don't think you can tell the difference.
Right.
I don't think you can.
Yeah, I'll say this, Justin.
Because I've had very expensive wine that I did not buy. Yeah. I did not, and I've had mediocre one, and maybe it's my rube palate, but I don't think you can tell the difference. Can tell, cheap. I know cheap wine.
I'll say this: there's a massive variation in Hennessy's and cognacs, so I know what a cheap one is versus Hennessy.
I don't know if we legally could do it. First off, it's 7:30 in the morning, so it's probably not appropriate. And two, you have to drive home. I would love to do a blind taste test.
That'd be fun.
I would love to. I don't think we can. I don't.
If it's for promotional reasons, Justin, we can get someone to sponsor it. Maybe we can sell the corporate bigwigs on it.
I think there's also a rule that because you are on the actual important buttons as opposed to my buttons, which are...
I'll say this.
My buttons are like the radio version of the closed door on the elevator. Like, it may work, it may not. We don't know. I don't have the important buttons here. You do.
I'll say
on
this.
the important button, so I don't think you could. But, man, I would love to blind taste because I don't know.
I mean, I'll say this.
Know.
Back in...
I want to see that palette at work. I was blown away by your NCAA football cover thing.
Right.
You went full Rain Man on that yesterday. I was blown away. And I don't believe you had it pulled up on the screen. I can't see the screen.
That's memory.
But, like, I drink a lot of bourbon. Probably more than I should. I don't know if I...
That's fair.
I know the difference in, like, well... But I don't know if I would. This is $300 a bottle, and this is $25. I don't know if I know the difference.
Yeah, blind test would be interesting. I'll say this as we'll get to make or miss first.
Are we sure? I don't know.
Don't
keep
worry.
Talking about booze at 7:30 in the morning. It is Friday.
Justin, I'll say this: when this show was hosted by a couple different individuals, and your boy Brenden was still producing,
one of those guys is the one guy that made fun of me about not knowing what back spasms were.
There was a segment where hard seltzer was brought to this station, and we sipped on it in the 8 o'clock hour. So, again...
Don't know if the statute of limitations is on that.
I don't know. I wasn't the boss.
Real quick, I might have to send an email real quick. I'm going to cover my own back side.
Hey, man. But, yeah, so real quick.
Like, it's wine. It's, I think, vodka.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of, like, it's middle of the pack, as long as it's not the sewer water that's at the bottom of the... And you know what? Hey, if you got to do the sewer water, you do you. Not here to judge anybody. I've done it myself. But, like, I don't know if you can tell the difference. Or, like,
right.
Here's the one thing I will say. And I'm sorry if I offend anybody out there. But I have to say it. I don't know much thing in certain... You put that vodka in anything that has a flavor... You really can't tell the difference.
That's true.
You don't know. You can make a Moscow Mule out of anything, and you're not going to know the difference. All you're going to taste is the ginger beer. You don't know.
I am particular with what vodka I like with my Red Bull, because the cheaper the vodka, I think the worse hangover it gets.
Like I said, I think I think mediocre and above, you drink enough of it, you're going to have a headache.
But interestingly enough,
that's
Justin,
like the tequila thing. Now that's a different, like tequila, if you know, like they fudge the numbers on the tequila and like you might not even be it's kind of flavored vodka, the bad stuff. And then there's the good stuff, which is made from the blue agave.
But what originally sparked this whole conversation, and Justin, this has to be something that the founders of Grey Goose have probably tried to address, because there is a whole landing page on the Grey Goose website, FAQ, is Kirkland vodka, Grey Goose vodka. And they say this is where the similarities and the...
Do they say definitively no?
Yes.
Okay.
So it says, we can definitively put this myth to rest. The viral claim is false. Grey Goose vodka does not produce private label Kirkland. However, both vodkas use water from France's Cognac region, which Justin has explained to me in excruciating detail. And here's the difference. They claim that they know what kind of fancy French wheat they use to make theirs.
So they reverse engineered it.
They said, well, no. The Grey Goose says, we have our proprietary wheat. Kirkland brand wheat is undisclosed. So it comes down to the wheat. The water is probably the same.
Here's what I would say.
And water does taste different in different places of the world. So I will say that.
Here's what I would say. If you're Kirkland and you go all the way to France for some water, I think you're picking up some wheat on the way.
Probably.
You're probably going to pick up some wheat on the way.
I would agree.
So maybe it is. Who knows? Even though we know it's the water.
I couldn't even pronounce where the special well is. But yeah, it's
that's where they get
fancy French water, man.
Way to go. Way to go, Kirkland.
And then what do you know about distilling, Justin? Because it also adds in big bold, Kirkland is distilled 5 times, and it says Grey Goose only needs to be distilled once.
Yeah, so
help me out with that.
I believe the more times you distill it, the more impurities that are cooked out. And so it's where it becomes more and more neutral. Vodka's supposed to not taste like anything.
Right.
It's supposed to be neutral. So, like, the more times you distill it, it's supposed to, like, that's where you get the less impurities. The impurities are what give you the hangover. That's what they say. I think it might be the 9 drinks you had, but that's neither here nor there. Whereas I'm sure what Grey Goose is saying is like, well, we don't even have impurities. We only need to do it 3 times.
No, just the once. Once.
Two more would be overkill. So
it's interesting, but yeah,
I'm saying why would Kirkland go all the way? Like, I know where Kirkland, Washington is, all right, and I know where France is. Why would you go all the way to France
and not pick up
a couple jugs of water, probably a little bit more, and not get the hey Frenchie, see this water we're getting? Where's the wheat?
So I thought,
where is it? Unless they've got the thing like so.
So vodka can be made out of different things because I always knew that vodka. I always thought the vodka was made out of potatoes.
It can be made out of anything.
Okay,
that's
fair,
like
fair.
Ciroc.
Yeah,
is made out of grapes.
Yeah.
There's one that's made from pineapple.
Okay, that makes sense.
I think Tito's. Is wheat.
So it can be different types of grain. Yeah. I should say that makes sense. I thought it was always like potatoes.
I think that was one version of it. And you can buy like potato vodka. But it can be made out of anything.
Apparently wheat and fancy French water. So.
Yeah, buddy. But like or like the reason you can't get like the McDonald's French fries anywhere is because like McDonald's got a lockdown on the Idaho potatoes. Like they have like this. They
own the state essentially.
No, but they own the. Like this place they only produce McDonald's potatoes. Right. And McDonald's is like, nobody else gets these potatoes.
Yeah,
we good?
True. And they've had them
because we find out one spud goes over to Arby's, we're going to have some problems.
And they've had them for what, 30, 40 years now?
Right,
so yeah,
60,
generations.
I think like 60.
Exactly. Generations of potatoes now.
All right. Make or miss. Will we get to the actual segment? Make, because it's going right now.
All right, Justin, firing up make or miss here on a Friday. The Blazers' hard tank has begun.
I think that's a miss. I don't think they're going to hard tank it. I don't think they have to. I go back and I'm ripping this off again from Sean Hyken, whom we talked to. When did we talk to Sean? Earlier this week?
Last Thursday.
Last Thursday. It was a week ago.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Time does fly on this particular program. But, Brenden, they have seemingly been trying this year, right? Seemingly. Yeah, they've been dealing with injuries, and I think the injuries are, let's just say, being used maybe to their advantage here or there. They've had the 9th toughest schedule, which is top 10, but that's about middle of the road in the NBA. They're 15-39. Trying. They have 3rd toughest schedule or 5th? I think it shifted a little bit. Somewhere in the top 5 of the 5th toughest schedule the rest of the way out. They don't need a tank. Now, what I would be surprised, will we ever see? So I'm going to say no. It's not a full tank. I think it's a soft tank, and I believe they're still going to be very well positioned come draft day, and their ping pong balls will be plentiful. That being said, make or miss. How many? They are 54 games into the regular season. So, math, 28 games left, right? 28 games left. Will there be one of these 28 games where we will see active and playing Scoot, Shaden, Ant, Brogdon, Grant, Aiden, Thibault? All 7 of those guys playing in the same game. Will we see that?
Miss.
I don't think we are either. So let's put that up. Like if that happens, we'll I'll come back and be like, all right, my bad. But just imagine one game with Scoot, Ant, Shaden, Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton, Malcolm Brogdon, and Matisse Thybulle. Those 7 guys all playing at the same time.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't
think so either.
Oh, and I'll just be
Isn't
honest.
that kind of crazy, though?
Other than Scoot Henderson, who we said we would.
Because they're all supposed to be playing together,
yeah,
right?
Like, Scoot is the one I want to see play a ton of minutes.
He's got that adductor.
But like
they're funny like that. They'll flare up.
But other than that, like, again, I'll say this. For those Blazer fans who have bought tickets to the final 20 games, you guys are the real MVPs. But this is where, and I know Justin, not a fan of this mentality, but this is where it's like, what is the benefit to trying? There's a better benefit to not trying and basically giving up. So
do you hear yourself saying
I know.
Do you hear the words? Because you're wearing headphones, so you're talking into a microphone, and it's going directly into your ears.
Thanks, Adam
Silver.
Silver.
Going into my ears as well.
Adam Silver rewards losing, Justin. They reward losers. Like, I mean, am I wrong?
But not always, though, because the Detroit Pistons stink. Now, the Detroit Pistons went on a tankathon, and it has not worked. And it's not always a guarantee.
I mean, yeah, they do
did the process work? I guess maybe because they got Embiid.
Embiid worked out.
You got Embiid. You got 4 shots at it, I guess.
Ben Simmons, too.
But he stinks. It didn't work.
See, you only need 1 to pop and be an MVP. Next time the Blazers should draft a big man, see if we can get that MVP.
Nah, Blazers don't draft big men.
Ain't that the truth?
But also, like, yeah, Embiid, wasn't he? He was, like, hurt for the first 2 years as well before he became
it was like a
Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I want to say it was last Saturday, Justin. A clip of Joe Cronin and Mike Schmitz went viral as they were in, Perth, I think is France. And they were in Perth last Saturday to see Alex Sarr, who is the French dude.
That's the other 7'3" French guy.
Yes. So to me, Justin, when the assistant GM and GM I know it's All-Star break, but generally in the middle of the season are like, yeah, we're scouting. They don't even care about this season. Like, I mean, I think the Blazers are still so much, Justin, in talent acquisition mode that
So right now, teams worse than the Blazers: Hornets, Wizards, Pistons, Spurs. That's it. That's all. That's the list. So,
and the Hornets started to win some games too. So
they play the Hornets.
Brandon Miller's kind of looking like a dude.
They play the Hornets coming up. I think this weekend, maybe on Sunday. But you're already going to be in the bottom 5, like kind of no matter what. Toronto.
They could catch you.
Toronto and Memphis both have 20 wins. I mean,
we said that's the high water mark.
They would have to go real tanking, because even the Grizzlies now they traded away Steven Adams, and without Ja for the entire season, like they went on but they just beat the Bucks. Pretty famously.
Toronto's in a tough spot because, Justin, the second that pick was anything higher than 6, goes the Spurs. So Toronto has massive incentive.
Okay, so Toronto really wants to
fall off and stay in that top 6. I mean, it's.
But what is it all for, right? Is it for, I guess maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a guy that you find in the draft and it's just like, here we go, we did it, but I don't think they have to. I don't think they have to tank. I think they can.
It'll just happen naturally, you think?
Yeah, well, and the way they're being uber cautious with regard to injuries, I think that's ultimately what it's going to be. We'll see. But, hey, way to hang in there, Blazer fans. You're doing it. All right, we've got Hot Take Friday to wrap up. Hour number 2 coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio. time to wrap up hour number 2. And, one of the things that we do on this particular program, we have very passionate opinions on, things that really don't matter all that much. And it's kind of a staple because there's a lot of people that have passionate opinions on important matters. But, there's a lot of hot air. And when you hear about, that's a hot take. And it's like, all right, fine. But you know what? Sometimes hot takes can be fun. Sometimes hot takes can be enjoyable. Sometimes it's fun to just have a fun disagreement, and it's always easier when it's about silliness. Because when it's about actual seriousness, well, that's when friendships get torn apart. That's when dinner gets uncomfortable. And you ever had that? You ever had like an uncomfortable dinner where it's like, hey, we're just talking, and not a family thing because that's just going to happen, but like with a group of friends, and you're just like, the tone has changed at this particular dinner.
You said with family, but honestly, Justin, I had that moment come up. Someone, I can't remember if it was religion or politics, but one of the two.
What are we doing?
Boom. Then it was like, oh, we're all pretty close, but now we don't want to talk to each other. So yeah, totally.
That's why when we do our hot takes on this particular program, we don't do any of that serious stuff. None of that. We do the silly stuff. So, with that being said, it is time for Hot Take Friday. We mentioned it a little bit earlier. It's not a hot take. It's common knowledge. Common knowledge. McDonald's has the best French fries. The hot take is who's in second place? And I've thought about this very, very long and hard about what is the second place potato-based side dish. And I think it's Arby's. I know we talked about it earlier. I think it's Arby's. I think Arby's. Hot take. The waffle fries at Chick-fil-A are massively overrated. They're not crispy enough. The waffle fries at Chick-fil-A are soggy. They're soggy. Every once in a while you get a good batch. They are soggy. I think I'm going Arby's curly fries. Seasoned curly fries hold the silver medal in terms of readily available French fries.
Question is,
are curly fries French fries? Or are they curly fries?
I think they just fall into the category of fries.
Yeah, in general.
Truth be told, I don't really call them French fries. They're not French.
Well, they're from Belgium. They're from Belgium if you go back to the history of it all.
Fair. But I'm like, I just...
Are you a Freedom Fries guy?
No. Just fries.
Are you old enough to remember Freedom Fries?
I am.
I am. What a time in our life.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Now, I'll say this,
That
Justin.
fixed it.
Do we think...
Is this like straw? Like, we're not doing straws anymore. Yeah, that'll fix it. Freedom Fries.
Bit of an inside joke for those, like, if you know, you know. Do you think we can get our...
Change the name. That'll fix, like, I don't know, like long histories of things.
Do you
Just change the name.
Do you think we'll get our good... Like, say we take a field trip to Arby's, Justin, where our good friend Devon Pouncey come with us.
I would think so.
Okay, you think he would?
I mean...
To the Arby's?
I think he would be open to, like, trying new things and to, crossing over cultural boundaries and come and check out the Arby's. But, like, the curly fries at Arby's, I mean... What's your pick for number... Like, Mickey D's best fry, right? Like,
yeah.
I think it's undisputed.
Yeah, I don't have a strong...
Because, like, Wendy's, no. Arby's, regular fries, no. Curly fries, yes. I think the Chick-fil-A waffle fries, I think those are... They're not crispy enough.
I probably would take McDonald's if you have everything that you've listed
No, but
so
who's
far.
in second place?
Oh, for second place?
Yeah.
I'll go Chick-fil-A. I like the waffle fry. They're not better than McDonald's.
No, they're not.
But I like them.
I think they're better than the Arby's curly fries, huh?
I just get Chick-fil-A more than I get Arby's. There's more Chick-fil-A's around my...
Yeah.
But I do like Arby's, and I ride for Arby's because that Arby's sauce, Justin, unmatched in the fast food industry.
Okay. Oh. You feel of the sauce... Let's have
hot take. Arby's sauce.
Arby's sauce is the best of the sauces.
Yeah.
I got to disagree.
Yep, I'm going hot take with it.
I like it. I like the hot take. Chick-fil-A sauce is so good.
Oh, it is. That's true.
The Chick-fil-A sauce is so good. Now, remember I talked about yesterday the burger place in Winston?
Yeah.
It was called the In-N-Out, and then it got sued when the internet came along, and they're like, can't call it that. So it was changed to the Winston Drive-In. They have a fry sauce, but there it was called Goop. And
I do love fry sauce.
but it was called Goop. And so my entire life, I just thought there was ketchup, there was mustard, and there was Goop. That's what it was called. And then, like, you go outside of, your small town bubble, and you're like, do you have any Goop? And they're like, what are you talking about? Then Gwyneth Paltrow named her whole website after it, but that was Goop was what it was called at the Winston Drive-In. And, like, the sauce at Local Boys?
How could you not?
Goop at the Winston Drive-In,
kind of thing.
a.k.a. the In-N-Out, fake In-N-Out Drive-In. It would, like, they had to, like, no, you guys, quit stealing the Goop, please. Can't.
Makes sense, man.
All right. One more. Let me ask you this. It's not readily available coast to coast, but it was something near and dear to both yours and my hearts. Abby's Ranch. Abby's Ranch crushes Arby's sauce. And I would dare I say it crushes Chick-fil-A sauce.
Abby's doesn't make...
I think people would fist fight for Abby's Ranch.
Abby's does not make homemade ranch anymore, Justin. I can't remember the last time you went to Abby's, but it now comes in
My legs are getting weak.
in a prepackaged cup, and it says Abby's on the front.
Is it the same?
No.
You don't feel like it's the same?
Not like when it used to come out of the pumper. Justin knows because he knows the pumper.
Yeah.
I say I think it's changed because now it's just prepackaged. You pull off the little,
But it's not like...
It's in a little circular
It's in a container
Yeah.
that they fill themselves, though.
It looks like it's sealed in a factory. So if they send the recipe and someone makes it for them, maybe they've lost a little bit there.
Come on, Abby's, get it together. But Abby's Ranch, reigns
That's
supreme.
tough. Yeah.
I will die on this hill. All right. Coming up next, hour number 3, Dave DuFour is going to join the show. Does he know about Abby's Ranch? Probably not. We've got the RCM mailbag. Plus, we got some more NFL stuff to talk about. As well. Are the Chiefs going to go and start pulling in all the good players now at a discount? Talk about that next. 620 Rip City Radio. It is 8 a.m. on a Friday morning. Justin Myers with you. Blazers back in action. They'll be taking on the defending champion Denver Nuggets at Moda Center tonight. Tip-off is set for 7 o'clock. Pre-game coverage begins at 4:30 right here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. Injury report, Scoot Henderson out and Malcolm Brogdon out, along, of course, with Shaedon Sharpe, Moses Brown, Robert Williams. Who else is out? And, Jabari Walker, listed as questionable with an ankle sprain. NFL news, Seattle Seahawks have restructured Geno Smith's deal that will clear up nearly $5 million in cap space. A friend of the program, Brady Henderson, tweeted it out, I believe, yesterday, even though he is on vacation in the Dominican Republic. That's proprietary knowledge. But in between his golf rounds, there was a whole lot of what is fully guaranteed into a signing bonus from a roster bonus. Either way, $5 million cap space for the Seattle Seahawks. And Dave DuFour joins us in 20 minutes to talk some NBA. Hour 3 starts right now at 620 Rip City Radio. All right, welcome back to Rip City Mornings. Hopefully you're having a fantastic Friday. Brenden, are we in the February fake-out right now? And for those that don't know what the February fake-out is, maybe it was just a term that we use down in Southern Oregon. And as a baseball player in this great state and in the Pacific Northwest, obviously baseball season, as nuts as it sounds, starts in February. Now, if you made the state tournament as a basketball team, which shout out to the Douglas Trojans because we did, till the Astoria Fishermen eliminated us. Took down Ontario, though. Take that, Ontario. We'll have that forever. Anyways, if you went to the state tournament in basketball, you got a little extra week. But baseball season starts in February. And every February, you would get, like we got yesterday, which I was out, crashed for a walk, and you would get a beautiful spring day, because one of the bummers of living in the Pacific Northwest is we really don't get spring. It's a lot of, it's 48 degrees and rainy in December. It's 48 degrees and rainy in April. You're gonna get some. You're going to get some snow days. You're going to get some ice storm days, which are pretty brutal. But for the most part, right about November, turn on the faucet. We just get rain. And that's just how we deal with it here. But every year, Brenden, at this particular time, you get a couple, 2 or 3 of these days in a row, and you trick yourself into believing, are we going to get spring this year? Is it actually going to? Should I get my golf clubs out? What? And then, nope, that's February fake out. Not happening. Don't care what Punxsutawney Phil told you. He's a liar. And just accept it for what it is. So it's going to be a beautiful Friday, though. I'm excited about it. Having a great time on the big show. We got Dave DuFour joining us in a bit. We do have the RCM mailbag. What are the big topics of the day? This Seattle Seahawks thing is fascinating to me. Because while this looks like a pretty straightforward restructuring, and I think they just kind of changed the terminology, because you can get super in-depth into both the NFL CBA and the NBA CBA. And you know what? I stick my foot in my mouth all the time, thinking what about this, and this? Because we have the hardest working audience in all of radio. We have probably the smartest audience too, because they're like, Justin, but not allowed. So the money doesn't add up. That'd be a nice idea and all, but that ain't allowed. So I have a little tough time getting deep into the woods here of the CBA, which is why we bring on smart people to talk about it. And Brady Henderson was mentioning that going from a guaranteed roster bonus to a signing bonus changes up certain things with the money, and it frees up about $5 million for the Seahawks. But what I believe is if Geno Smith was under any idea that they were going to be shopping a quarterback, does he restructure his deal to be team friendly and to be cap friendly? I don't think so. So it looks as though even with new head coach, new offensive coordinator, completely new coaching staff, everything with the Seahawks is new except for John Schneider and ownership. We know about that. Takes a long time. State's complicated. Everything is fairly new with regard to the Seattle Seahawks. They're going to be sticking around with Geno, which I think is a bit surprising. Now, Brenden, I think this might lean towards your conclusion a couple of weeks ago where, and maybe you still believe this, maybe you don't, I don't know. But with the addition of Ryan Grubb, the former Washington offensive coordinator who went down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama for about 4 days and was like, get me out of here.
Again, Justin, I don't know. I wasn't there, but I sincerely think it was like the episode of The Office where James Spader took over for Michael, and he comes in and he goes, he took one look and took off. And it's like, based on everything I heard, the lifestyle of Tuscaloosa, Alabama wasn't for Ryan Grubb. I'll just leave it at that.
Do you think even if, all right, here's what I wonder. If Kalen DeBoer said, hey, Alabama, thanks but no thanks. I'm building something at Washington. We can win here. We're going to the Big Ten. Revenue's not a problem. My lifestyle is fine here. I'm staying, which would not be all that insane. Do you think Ryan Grubb stays at Washington? Or does he still interview and just keep the same house and just go from Montlake to VMAC?
I think this
people up in Seattle know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think this was going to happen. I just think Ryan Grubb was going to move on. Back before the season ended, there were rumors that he was number one for the San Diego State job. This was around the time Oregon State played Washington. I just think he knew he needed to separate himself from Kalen DeBoer to have his own coaching career. He was at that point. They've been together for so long that I think he was a lot classier than Chip Kelly, but also kind of like, hey, if there's a really good opportunity.
He wasn't a standing head coach in the month of February. Chip Kelly is such a
That's a
anomaly.
classless move. Yes, it is. Yep. Totally.
Such an classless is a tough call.
You don't think it's classless what he did to UCLA? He did crank up the middle finger on the way out.
I would be, and we'll never know. We will never know. I would love to know the backstory there. There's got to be a backstory there. And we all assume it's just that Chip Kelly did not want to. All right. What if, Brenden, Coach X, right? Not Chip Kelly, but like Coach X truly is sitting there and going like, I don't like this NIL stuff. College football is not what I wanted it to be. I like the idea of going to the NFL. Like when do you leave? Because you got to wait until February for NFL jobs to open up. Now, again, he went to Ohio State, which is very different. But if you were like, random coach at mid-level Power 4 school, and you were like, I hate recruiting. I hate NIL. I hate dealing with collectives. And that's fine, because I agree with Kenny Dillingham, which is like, look, if you don't want to get in the smoke, right? If you don't want to get in the Thunderdome, well, then leave and quit. And I agree with him, and I think that's kind of what Chip Kelly did. Now, the part that makes it a little bit tough to square, shall we say? Yeah, you went to Ohio State in college, and it's in the same conference. Now, that conference is gigantic, so it's tough, but how do you leave though? Like if you were a head coach and you're like, boy, I don't want this smoke. I want to coach in the NFL. And you got to wait until after the Super Bowl, right? When the coaching carousel ultimately winds down. How do you do it? I don't know. And if you're college football, how do you fix it? It's not, that's always been kind of a big problem. Is The NFL calendar waits for no man. And it's always funny when you hear like NFL people going like, well, what shouldn't they just do like the NFL and have an open transfer? It's like, yeah, biology class starts January 4th. Players got to be on campus. Sorry. That's for now. Not going to be very long. Do you think there's going to be a time in the near future where college football players are just not going to have to go to class? They're employees, right? Because that's the next step.
I mean,
because you keep hearing all these people going like, "Hey, just make them employees, get them under contract." Okay, so then no class. That's the next step. If I'm an employee, right, just like the janitor, right? The janitor's an employee of the university. I just get paid a whole lot more. He doesn't go to class. He doesn't have to pass Sociology 204 to be able to do his job. If I'm an employee of the university, do I even go to class? That's going to be wild, but it's going to happen. It's going to, right?
Well, considering, and I don't want to paint with a broad brush, but considering the famous story at Oregon State is that Chad Johnson never went to one class, it's kind of already...
That's the loophole, though.
There's already been loopholes. I just wonder if it's going to ever be, like, maybe the loopholes expand, or if it's just out and out, like, you don't have to. I would be willing to bet that there's probably going to be, like, hey, we put everybody in online classes, and then they're, like, optional. Kind of, you know what I mean? Rather than, like, you know...
and maybe it's already, like, halfway there, because, I've been
out of the college game for a few years now, Justin.
When was the last time you actually heard, like, a story about eligibility in terms of grades? Like Vernon Adams? Remember Vernon Adams?
Yeah, pre-COVID, without a doubt.
You haven't heard, like, it's been a while. I think for Oregon, that's another big what if for Oregon fans, kind of a deep dive. Darren Carrington, he failed a class, was not eligible for the national title game. Don't know if he didn't play defensive line, and so he couldn't have tackled Ezekiel Elliott. So I'm still not sure if they win that game, but it would be interesting to have him that particular game. But we haven't heard about a player being, I don't know. That's the thing. Like, as long as there's still classes and the college football calendar has to stick around with the academic calendar. And so you, like, if you're going to have these coaches leaving for the NFL, which you want to talk about another thing that I'm pretty sure is going to happen, which is going to be interesting for me personally, because my wedding anniversary is February 19th. Just had it, year 2. I think they're going to move the Super Bowl a week down the road. I do. They've already got the 17-week season. I'll bet you they add another bye. So instead of 18 weeks, it'll be 19 weeks. Teams are going to get 2 byes. And I'll bet you they move the Super Bowl to President's Day weekend. People have that Monday off already. Some do. We don't.
We can maybe advocate for it.
Well, I don't know. I kind of like working the day after the Super Bowl. We've got a lot to talk about on our particular show.
That end of the night when you're full of food, though, Justin, 4:30 kind of hits a little harder.
It's not the food that's the problem.
Yeah, for me this year it was, but I overate. So yeah, totally.
I did massively overeat. It's it's those Blue Mountains, man. You know, those crisp, clear Blue Mountains that just feel so good on a Sunday afternoon. But don't you would you be surprised? The NFL expanded to 17 games. To add another bye week, call it for player safety, and just move the Super Bowl another week.
I wouldn't. I mean, I know.
I think it's going to happen.
I know that, like, Super Bowls have very specific dates.
Yeah, they're like 4 years out.
But yeah, I can see it. Like, the NFL will do whatever they can, Justin, to get more eyeballs on their product, protect their players, and make more money. So does this make more money? I think so. It extends the season a whole nother week. You're talking about it for a whole nother week. More money.
Also, with the college football playoff and maybe another potential expansion there, like, what's going to happen with if it's a 12-team playoff? When does it start? I know they have it, but, like, is it going to be around Christmas? And, like, the NFL can just bump it down another. Poor college basketball. They just keep getting eaten up and eaten up. It's like, all right, we'll pay attention now. All right. We're going to shift gears. We're going to talk some NBA. Dave DuFour from The Athletic, podcast host and basketball analyst, joins the show next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, we are, I believe the term is efforting. Efforting Dave DuFour from The Athletic to get his thoughts on, now that we've had some time to breathe, and there's been some basketball games played, and we all seem to be moving on with our basketball lives heading into the month of March, which obviously is going to have a ton of March Madness intrigue, and then we'll be not that far away from the stretch run of the NBA and then to the playoffs. Like, all right, the All-Star game was bad, but is it truly this big, giant black eye for the league that we all kind of thought it was on Monday? Or was it just kind of a sign of the times that, A, we don't need an all-star game to be able to see all the best players. We get to watch them every single night. You know, except for I didn't see LeBron last night because he decided he wasn't going to be playing. So we don't need the all-star game to kind of show all of us, hey, look at all the great players. B, money's so big. Do you really want these guys slapping the floor and playing like hardcore defense? And C, like, I mean, we're kind of in a, post-Super Bowl lull where the All-Star game used to mean something and it doesn't really mean anything anymore. I don't know. It's interesting to, and here's the other thing. I am in a constant thought process of, is this real or is this algorithm? Brenden, do you think there is a group of people out there whose Twitter algorithm is so different than mine? And maybe they don't listen to this show, but they listen to, I don't know, a podcast I've never heard of where they were like, hey, guys, that All-Star game was great. All-Star weekend was the best. Did you see that YouTuber that I've never heard of? You know what I mean? Did you see that TikToker that I've never heard of? Like, I wonder, like, do you think there's like an alternate universe? Because I always worry about that with social media. Is that we're in a false sense of outrage or a false sense of popularity that everybody's talking about it. I mean, are they? Is everybody talking about it? Because the algorithm pops up, and I've seen, all the articles and the documentaries and stuff on like how these tech companies get you. And I don't know. It felt different, but then again, does it feel different because like my phone knows how old I am. My phone knows my interest level. My phone and artificial intelligence knows like faster than that. Here's the stuff that's going to get you emotional about it. Like, I don't know. Is there just a whole group of NBA fans? And again, maybe not even in this country. Is there a whole group of NBA fans who are global who are like, what are all these Americans talking about? I thought the All-Star game was fun. They were shooting from half court and making it. That's crazy.
See,
I don't know.
I'll push back against that notion,
and
Justin.
I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm wondering, does that exist?
Because it could. I'll say this. There's a reason that guys like Jokic, I'm just going to say Jokic because he's the best example. Why is he a guy that gets so many rebounds and assists? Because in Europe, there's no such thing as American hero ball. They learn how to play team basketball first. That's why he said, look at how great of a teammate Luka is. Look at how much he compliments his teammates. Jokic, right?
Yeah, whoa. Jokic, I'm with. You really think Luka compliments his teammates?
He does.
He's a bit of that's little hero ball that old Luka plays.
Yeah, I mean, he also averages, does he not average almost 10 assists a game?
How tall is he?
6'7"?
He's 6'7" point guard. You're just gonna fall into
fair.
5 assists.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
You hiccup and you've got 3 assists as a 6'7" point guard.
But yeah, from what and this is just my layman's understanding, but from what I've seen, they emphasize more of team basketball in Europe. So like when you
or definitely moving the ball around.
Yes,
you're right.
and it's again you play positions and all that, but it's a good question.
That's why I just we'll never know because how many people how many of these are bots, right? How many how many of these Twitter accounts are actually real, and how many of them are aggregates? How many just constantly pumping up hey, but ESPN still ESPN. It sounds like some of the players. So, but after seeing hey, there was basketball last night. I watched the NBA on TNT. Steph looked pretty good in the game last night. It was fun to watch. Luka and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, right? You just had to give it 3 or 4 days, and you had actual real competitive basketball. We just get all hot takey maybe about the All-Star. And I did. I was it's kind of unwatchable. Don't know what purpose it serves. Obviously, the commissioner, I don't think, was very happy about it. But it's like any other outrage in sports or anything else. Give it 3 days. Tell me you're still upset. That's kind of where I think we are with the All-Star game, right? All right. Give me 3 days, then tell me if you're upset. All right. May have some miscommunication. Dave DuFour is not going to be joining the program. That's fine. He may have, who knows? Maybe he got the times wrong. Maybe he's like, hey, didn't Oregon go back to not changing the clocks? They're like, no, Dave, we're still changing the clocks. But hopefully we'll get him down the road at a future endeavor. Let's talk some NFL. I got a thought. Because I saw some rumors out there. Was this just a get up hey, what about this? Because the get up guys on ESPN keep trying to give the Steelers a new quarterback. At first it was Russell Wilson. Now it's Justin Fields, even though there's zero discussion in any way, shape, or form of the Pittsburgh Steelers shopping actively for a quarterback because they still have Kenny Pickett on the roster and sounded like, and then because they released Mitch Trubisky, but that was going to happen. So I don't know, but it seems as though Mike Evans being rumored to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs went on. They won the Super Bowl. They've won back-to-back Super Bowls. And outside of having maybe the greatest tight end of all time, they did it with Patrick Mahomes throwing to a bunch of plumbers. That's how we describe the basketball players. But a bunch of journeymen, a bunch of, Jags, as they call them. Not the Jacksonville Jags, but the regular Jags,
and
which is JAG, just another guy, which, again, in the radio world, I might be just another guy. I'm fine with that. We learned from Joel Damon on Full Swing. Somebody's got to finish 47th in these tournaments, right? Somebody has got to be, an $8 million a year wide receiver. And
right.
The Kansas City Chiefs have him, but it seems as though there might be some rumors that Mike Evans might be being looking towards Kansas. Is that an actual substantial rumor?
There's
or
some
is
legs
that
to it.
They're just making it up on Get Up? Because they do that sometimes.
Yeah, there's some
which
legs.
I respect.
There's some legs to it because there's rumors that the Buccaneers could franchise tag or re-sign Mike Evans and then trade him. I don't exactly know. Maybe they don't want to pay him. It's kind of weird to me that Tampa would let arguably their best receiver in franchise history just walk. And again, maybe I'm missing somebody from the Gruden Tampa Bay. But I don't think
Keyshawn
so.
was there, but he was not anywhere close to what Mike Evans was doing. He's a big name, but he wasn't anywhere close.
So that bit is a bit surprising to me, but I told you, Justin, again, the most talented receiver the Kansas City Chiefs had this year, pound for pound draft talent, Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney was benched pretty much the entire playoffs because, of reasons, and we don't need to get into all that, but just the fact that, the Chiefs didn't. They are the Patriots when Brady was throwing to Chris Hogan and Philip Dorsett and Julian Edelman when, we all know.
Before he became Julian Edelman.
Julian Edelman was also like, hey, I don't do much in the regular season. I'll just dominate the postseason. It's interesting.
Here's what I wonder. Because it's been a while. We had the Patriots, and they were on a run. They were a dynasty. But the Patriot way was always cut a guy a year too early as opposed to a year too late. Right? That's, and I know Tom Brady has since come out I've never said the Patriot way. It's it's a thing. It's been a thing for a while, Tom. Don't act like you didn't know it was a thing. It was. But the thought process was, we're going to cut a guy a year too early as opposed to a year too late. And we'll make other teams pay for them when they run out of productivity. Deion Branch, I think, prime example of that. The Seahawks paid for Deion Branch, Super Bowl champion, and they got Deion Branch, okay, wide receiver. So we haven't really had an NFL place where if you were a guy like Mike Evans, who was looking for... Now, was Mike Evans there a couple years ago when they won the Super Bowl?
He's been there.
He's been there the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time.
So he's got a ring, but we haven't really seen a place where if you were like a veteran offensive weapon, where you could be like, hey, I'm going to go here at a bit of a discount because I got maybe 2 years left. I want Patrick Mahomes throwing me the ball. I wonder if we're going to start seeing that with Kansas City. It's just like signing dudes on 2-year team-friendly deals, going like, yeah, you've made your money. You've got maybe 1-2 years of productivity left. You want to catch balls from Patrick Mahomes, maybe the greatest quarterback of all time? Didn't say he was. Said maybe. He might potentially be there. But, like, I wonder if the Chiefs end up kind of becoming a place like that. We've seen it in the NBA.
Yeah.
It hasn't really always worked out because the NBA is a little bit different. But, like,
So
there was a line of people wanting to play with LeBron.
Right.
Whether it was Westbrook, obviously Anthony Davis. Who else is on that list? Patrick Beverly.
Steph
that
Curry.
didn't work out. Maybe still. You think Steph wants to play with LeBron?
Oh, he does so bad. Steph's like, that's my last
But why?
path to another ring. It'd be number 5 for both of them. It makes so much sense. Like this
That whole Kobe has 5 at... Does Magic have 5?
Yes. Let me I think so. Let me confirm that.
But I definitely know Kobe's got 5. That whole Kobe's got
5 times for Magic.
Yeah. So Magic and Kobe, that whole... That's a thing, isn't it?
It is. 5 is big, and LeBron and Steph this offseason are going to be like, hey, look, LeBron, you're almost done. What if the Warriors go, we'll put Bronny at the end of the bench, baby. Let's go. But no.
That poor guy. I shouldn't... Not poor. Very wealthy. But I do have a smidge of sympathy. Now, again, you decided to play basketball and, probably could have done anything in this world, and that's fine. And, responsibility comes with, or the baggage comes with the paycheck. But I saw somebody put should Bronny stay another year in college? And it's all the quote tweets were 3 years, maybe continue to stay in college.
Guy? Yeah,
he is. That's what he is. And that's fine.
Yeah.
He's a fine college, but
yeah.
You watched USC play, and I've watched him play. I watched him play against Oregon. I think I watched one a couple months ago. But he doesn't pop off the screen as a clear, that guy's going to the NBA. But he also doesn't stick out like a sore thumb that that's the celebrity's kid. Anyways.
Yeah, and just last point I wanted to make on that with the Chiefs, Justin.
Yeah, let's get back to the Chiefs.
Somebody mentioned, I forget who it was, but it was a famous ex-player in the NFL, commentator now, just drawing a blank on who it was.
Chris Collinsworth?
No, it was,
Tony Romo?
Yeah, no, someone more just I think it was a receiver maybe. Anyway, regardless, ex-player, retired in the last few years, was guys, y'all let Patrick Mahomes win the Super Bowl with his worst team, and it was not even close. So if they know now, Justin, and again, I do believe that, and I think this is harder in the NFL, but I think like the NBA and the Warriors, it's like corporate knowledge when you figure out how to win a Super Bowl with a certain group of guys. Mm-hmm. And now that the Chiefs are I'm not saying they probably won't win it again next year. 3 in a row is unheard of. But the fact that every year in Mahomes they're going to be in the mix is they know, hey guys, we can get blown out by the Raiders on Christmas, then just ho-hum, win everything in the postseason, be the road team because we have the best quarterback. So
this is the difference between Patrick Mahomes and I think anybody else he is compared to is nobody has been this good this young. This amount of success.
True.
We didn't know who Tom Brady was for a while. And then once we figured it out, remember they went on a little bit of a drought there, which is absurd because they won 6 of them. But they went on a bit of a drought. Nobody's been this. So what I'm saying is if you are in year 8 and you got a contract year coming up and you're why don't I go play 2 years with Patrick Mahomes at age 29? Isn't that what he is? Something like that. For the next 5 years, if I am your boy Brandon Cooks,
28 years old.
He's 28. He's 28
Oh, if I
years
was
old.
Brenden Cooks, I'd be
So
racing.
the next 5 years, like, hey, vet minimum. I want to I want to play with this guy. Let's do it.
I don't think
And if
he'll-
you're Kansas City, wouldn't you just have a carousel of weapons coming in going like, I want to play here. And now, obviously, you're not going to have guys in their prime, but what you'll do is you'll get the guys who have, like, they got one spark plug year left.
Cooks is a great example because I don't think he'll be back in Dallas. So
No,
it's
like, if you're, so
right.
if
So
you're
if I'm
Brenden Cooks, you're like, all right, I could go sign anywhere for, I don't know what the dollar amount would be. Let's say $7 million.
But he's
something like
probably
that.
got 2 or 3 good years left of being able to be a helpful piece on a winning team.
But he made his money in Houston.
Oh, yeah.
He got a little bit like, and again, far be it from me to count other people's money, which I love doing. But if you're like Brenden Cooks, it's just like, look, I just signed at the veterans minimum or somewhere near there, maybe an incentive-laden, team-friendly, and I'm going to go play in Kansas City for 2 years. And I'm going to be a weapon for Patrick Mahomes and have a shot guaranteed. You're not guaranteed to win it, but what other team in the NFL can you almost guarantee you'll have a chance? No other team can offer that guarantee. Kansas City can.
I mean, if you're a guy like Cooks, you made over $100 million
You
so
got a
far.
28-year-old, maybe greatest of all-time quarterback.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
and
insane.
let's even look at Mike Evans, right? I mean, same. I think he's probably the very same with Cooks, maybe a little bit more, but let's see.
Are you actually typing, or are you just hitting the keys for effect on
No,
the
that was
microphone?
actually typing.
All right.
So Mike Evans' career
Sometimes
earnings,
I just hit the keys for effect.
yeah, so he and Cooks are very comparable because they were drafted the same year within positions of each other. They both made about $115 million, Justin. You don't need the big contract if you want to win. And some guys are different. Some guys are like,
Yeah,
hey,
but I think like the difference is like
the Mike Trouts of the world. They're like,
Yeah.
I don't need to win. I'm good. So
well, Mike Evans, like he's got his ring, right? He played with Tom Brady. He had his moment in the sun. Was a COVID Super Bowl. I don't know if it felt the same, but
man, the weekend in the mirrors, man.
the weekend and the mirrors and the bandage on his face and all, like, what are we doing?
The last Super Bowl halftime Justin didn't like.
I mean, I like the weekend, but like I didn't understand the artistic approach that he took. But you know, it was
See,
tough.
that one
It was
was
a, it
made
was a
for
tough
you.
time. We were all wearing masks.
Justin has come out and said the last 3, he's like, Brenden, these are not for you.
They're not for you. These
that
are
one
for
in
me.
2020 was for me. So
Which
I
is
get
like
it.
we started this whole conversation about the All-Star game. Like the All-Star game is not for me. I understand that. But is it for anybody? Like, you know? Is it for, but getting back to the Chiefs, I just maybe the NFL, like it's called, like in the business side of it, it's like, hey, you get your money, you don't take discounts. But man, if I am any kind of wide receiver that's like, I got a couple years left, who is like pretty self-aware of like where you are in your career, like Brenden Cooks, like, I'm gonna go to the Chiefs. Let me take veterans minimum, and I'll go maybe give me some incentives, get some touchdowns, boom, and let's go play. You might see it because
Hey, man, I'd
clearly
love
they
to see-
don't need a number one other than Travis Kelce to win it. Man, you give them more weapons. Minimum 8 Pete's. Shout out to the super fans. All right, we have got one more segment to wrap up the big show. RCM mailbag next, 620 Rip City Radio. Let's wrap up the big show. Do that the same way each and every day. Random questions, any subject, any topic. You all know the drill. It's the RCM mailbag. Here we go. Real quick, though, before we get into the mailbag, I threw out on social media, in particular, a thing I still call Twitter, because we were debating, does Abby's Ranch still have its fastball?
Oh, yeah.
And Mike on Twitter says, absolutely not. From someone who had to make it back in the day, it isn't even close to what it was.
I knew I wasn't crazy. Yep. Thank you.
Then he gave me the recipe.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know if Mike is gave me the old school recipe.
Dude,
I might try to make this.
Yeah. I mean,
I might see. That might be my weekend.
Dude,
I might sit there and I might
amazing.
buy all this stuff and I might just see if I can't figure out how to make me some Abby's Ranch.
Oh, that would be amazing because
if it doesn't have its fastball, well, maybe I'll just a little side hustle and
like I said,
can you imagine this? Because are we in Girl Scout cookie season?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think we are.
If we're not, we're getting very close. And those adorable little Girl Scouts are going to be sitting outside of every Safeway and Fred Meyer. And, it's just so hard to tell them no.
It's January and April. Should be right now.
Boom, we are right in the heart.
Yep.
Could you imagine, let's just get, this is completely illegal, but do you think we could pull it off? We get, if we crack the code and we find the old school Abby's Ranch,
Ooh.
and then we find, some kids to just set up, a lemonade stand outside of the Abby's, but it's a ranch stand. We'll pay them. We'll pay them. We'll pay them.
That's
We're
great.
not going to exploit the young kids, but,
Like I said,
what if we just get some kids who are like, hey, old school Abby's Ranch right here, and people come out, and there's and we'll get a tap. We'll get the tap. The square.
Yep. So a couple.
And just get on a smartphone.
Yeah.
And I think we could clean up.
Couple questions /
I probably shouldn't be saying this out loud
/
because I'm just giving people free ideas.
/ a criticism
I'm
of
the
Abby. So Justin,
Shark Tank.
little context here. By my understanding, Abby's did away with their at least making ranch on site, which is not that's the easiest way to
Mike
describe
on Twitter used to make it on site. 55-gallon barrel.
Yeah, it is not on site. They come in prepackaged containers with aluminum foil lids, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, you peel.
Yes.
I was thinking, because you know how you get the cups with the plastic snap-on lid.
This was aluminum foil lid. It's made in a factory of some sort.
Yeah.
So my question with this, Justin, is A1, I've noticed, they changed this over the same time Abby's nixed their salad bars. And
they
now
don't have
Abby's
salad bars anymore.
doesn't, at least not the one.
Not the one in Newburgh.
Yep. Which again,
I don't know how Winston's feel. It's been a minute.
And then question
2018 was the last time I went to Abby's in Winston. That was my 20-year high school reunion.
And I
was like, I am getting an Abby's.
Did your Abby's have spuds and chicken?
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, okay. I've never grew up with one. Yeah, Newburgh does not have it.
Never had,
never had it, never will have it, from what I've been told. And
that's where the ranch really pops, is with the spuds.
I'm aware. I had to go down to Florence, man, or Eugene to get the quality spuds with chicken, man.
Florence and hang out with those Siuslav Vikings.
But yeah, all that to say, I'm like, I think they nixed it, Justin, when they got rid of their salad bar too.
Okay, real quick, story time with Uncle Justin, because I know this because I had friends that worked at Abby's. I told you our little scam back in the 90s where we would call in from the payphone. Carl would order a large Abby special, or giant, and then all of a sudden Carl wouldn't show up because we were very trusting
Is that the
back
skinny
then.
special?
I've eaten the skinnies, but the Abby special was my jam. I don't know what's on it, everything. So I had friends that worked there. What people used to do when it was the out of the pump, right? It was ketchup and it was ranch side by side. Because people were insane for this ranch. People would get a to-go cup for fountain drink, 16-ounce to-go cup. Fill it full of Abby's Ranch. Put a lid on it, take it home, put it in the fridge. So that's when it really started to veer off, at least the one in Winston. And so then they did it to where they would still make it in-house, but they poured them into individual cups.
Yes.
And then they went behind the counter, so you had to ask for them. So you couldn't just take a 16-ounce cup home. And now what you're saying is it's just
Yep, little aluminum foil lids. Abby, ranch made for Abby's legendary pizza. Who knows?
But it's contracted out. All right.
That's why I said, now that I told them, I said, it is something
the kids
changed
today
there.
do not, they'll never understand.
Justin, what's that old saying? It's like, you don't have to improve things. They can just stay the way that they are.
Thank you.
So we could have kept...
Yeah.
But all that to say, don't need to make it the hate on Abby's segment because I still love their pizza. I just wish they would improve their ranch, bring back their salad bar. That's all I ask. Justin, salad bars are really hard to find nowadays.
Well, COVID kind of ruined that for everybody, right? Look, where's a sneeze guard? I mean,
and I love a good salad bar.
I do too.
What I could do, I could crush a plate of salad.
We got what? About 2
might
minutes
as
here?
well. Let's talk about salad.
What needs to be at the salad bar to make it? I think the ham and the turkey that they have at the Abbey salad bar.
That's a good poll.
You've got to, people probably think it's the chicken. It's the protein for me. And it's like the ham, to make it like a chef salad with ham and turkey. I need that for my salad bar.
That's a good call. I never went with the extra protein on a salad. I would always just go with as many different so I
pretty much filled a plate with ham and turkey and sprinkled lettuce on top.
Yeah, the only time, Justin, in the world I'll ever put those little baby corn on the cobs on my salad, right?
Okay.
Or
do you guys have Izzy's?
We did.
Did you have Izzy's as pizza plus a whole lot more?
We did.
That was a salad bar.
I know.
Pizza
Sizzler.
bar too. Sizzler had a salad bar like you wouldn't believe it.
All these places are going out of business.
It was more than a salad bar, though. It was a taco bar. It was a spaghetti bar. It was so much stuff there, man. It was. Maybe next week I'll tell you why we got banned from the salad bar at Abby's growing up because, boy, we were some hooligans. All right. That's going to do it for the big show today. Thanks to each and every one of you for listening to the show, whether today and all week long. Thanks to super producer Brenden. Have a terrific weekend. We're back at it bright and early Monday morning here on 620 Rip City Radio.